Hey guys, happy Sunday. It's me, Kathy, and I am here to answer a ton of questions that you guys have for me, which is kind of cool because Sunday is the day that I don't go into the school. So I'm training my own dogs, but I'm not actually training dogs one-on-one. So believe it or not, after about an hour of not training dogs, my brain just goes to, I think about dogs, I think about new ideas. If you've ever seen the documentary, Jiro Dreams of Sushi, Jiro. He's like the sushi master in Japan. He's this really old guy, super celebrated. But I saw that documentary, I'm like, God, I can totally relate because I literally think about dog training all day long. And I dream about dog training too. Like, oh, this is a great idea. It is my total passion and I am never going to stop learning and I'm never going to stop creating. And thanks to you guys, I have questions to answer on this awesome Sunday. So let's get straight to it because there's a zillion of them. All right, we're going to start with Anna. Hi, Anna. Anna has a question. She says, my puppy is 4 months old. How do I know when she's ready to move from managing to actually training obedience? So the good news is at 7 to 8 weeks old, that's when I start teaching my puppies everything. I teach them doorway protocol. I teach them hand targets. I teach them sit and down and come on their name and tug, and I teach them everything. So we start early so that I start with a foundation of, hey, you want to know what's really cool? When you and I work together, because you can earn things that you want. See, that's probably another important point, that my puppies don't just get everything they want for free. They earn their stuff. They know that if they sit, they're probably going to get a treat or get to go in the yard. And what's really interesting is that I change the value from what they want to me, because if they want the cookie and they have to sit, now the sit is as important as the cookie. And I am more important than the cookie because I control it. The same way I control access to outside or to throw the ball or things like that. So start them really, really early. You're in management stage probably until your training is airtight, meaning my dog can sit wait when I open the door without me holding the leash, and then making mistakes. So if my puppy was still at a stage where I knew they would make mistakes, I wouldn't put them in a situation to blow up and then I have to retrain and all that stuff. So if the puppy wasn't at that point, I would definitely put the puppy in an X pen or have on the leash, stand on the leash so the jumping wouldn't happen, always reinforcing for good behavior. So that's an important question, and I'm so glad you asked. Okay, Leela. I think I pronounced it correct. Leela Denise. Hi, Leela. She has an awesome question about her dog, who's 2 years and 10 months old, almost 3. That's when everything gets better. No, just kidding. It never gets better. We make it better. And the dog is chewing on everything. Okay, couple of things. I wonder if the dog is properly supervised. When you go out of the house, is there a separation issue? Where the dog is eating stuff? Is the dog crated? My tips for having a dog who never chews anything in the house is, one, when I'm with the dog, especially at the puppy stages, I'm managing. I'm watching the puppy and I'm making sure I give them awesome things to chew on. If it's a situation where you leave the house and you come back and your dog has redecorated your house in like contemporary Labradoodle, awesome. I would suggest more confinement. Now, some people say, oh, my dog is 7 months and I got rid of the crate. I'm like, holy smokes, why? Like, I wouldn't, because I think at any point your dog could suddenly turn into an interior decorator. Now, are there puppies that I work with who would not? Absolutely. But I find confining and crating to also be a safety issue. I guess you could say safety for the dog because he didn't eat your couch and you're not going to kill him. But beyond that, safety, like they're not going to eat a power cord. They're not going to pull something off the counter. I have stories that you don't want to hear. Actually, maybe I'll do a Facebook Live on that, but it'll be very depressing. Like a student's dog who put their head in this big plastic container of Cheetos, which is an American terrible snack. And the dog got his head stuck in it. Like, so it was like a diving helmet. And it was woozy, and of course you can't breathe very well in that. And thank God the dog was on the couch trying to get this off, and the neighbor walking by saw that and called the dog's owner and got into the house and had to plier it off. But that dog would have died. I've had that happen with a student whose dog put its head in a potato chip bag, ate it, ate all the chips, and then it suffocated in the bag. They came home, dog was dead. So Lots more stories. We don't need to talk about that. But seriously, that's one of the big reasons for creating the dog. So I'm into supervision. I'm into giving them what they want to chew on. Lots of people say, oh, my dog has chew toys and they don't like them. Then they're not chew toys. They're just objects in your house. So you got to find what the dog likes. That could be stuffable toys like Kongs, like marrow bones. Could be antlers. Oh, I should have brought an antler. Antlers are awesome, especially my supplier, Acadia Antlers. She gets fresh antlers. People in Vermont find them and they send them to her. It's really great. And they are fresh. They're not dried out, sitting in warehouses for months. And if the dog doesn't like it initially, you could put it in warm chicken broth and then let it dry and give it to the dog. But antlers are awesome. But some dogs have different tastes. So you've got to audition stuff and see what the dog really loves and then make sure he has that in those times where, let's say you're going out. I put that in his crate or the area where you keep him confined and say, oh, here's another reason. I had a student whose house burned down to the ground because their dog was loose, jumped up on the stove, turned on the burners. There were papers near it, caught on fire. Done. But thankfully the dog lived. The fire department got there. They rebuilt the house, and they got a crate. Awesome. Don't learn that way. That was a really hard lesson. So that's my solution to the chewing on everything. And the management has to be from you and everybody else in the family. Also, guys, if I answer your question and you want clarification or you have something that you didn't really put in your question that would make it clear for me, then jump back on and let me know, and I'll fix it. Okay. Jenny. Oh, hey, Jenny. Jenny wants to teach her dog to hide his face with his paw. He'll do it, but he can't seem to just leave it there. She's talking about duration. So it's that you ask your dog, are you shy? And they take their paw and they do, yeah, I'm kind of shy. It's adorable. And I teach it with a little Post-it note. And I put the Post-it note on their nose and they put their paw on it and I say yes, and then I feed them. And then I build duration. So here's what you need to know, Jenny. When I want to end behavior in my dogs, whether it's a sit stay or a go to place or whatever it is, I tell them, okay. So okay is my release word. But the word that means keep going, my bridge is good. So let's say my dog's doing a sit stay. I'm like, yes, good dog. Awesome. What a good dog. And I mean, the longer you're training, you don't have to sit there and narrate that to the dog. I could tell my dog sit and he'd sit there until I said, okay. But in the training stages, that bridge is important of saying, yes, I love it. Keep doing it. Because it would be super inconvenient if every time I said, good dog, he got up. So there's two different things, and everybody in their training, whether you're teaching this trick or just basic training, you have to have that understanding that dogs need a word that means keep going, and they also need a word that means you are done. Now, of course, the big word is the word that cues the behavior to start, right? So let's say Jenny's word was, are you shy, or her phrase. So are you shy starts the behavior. She would say, yes. And I think at this teaching stage, she'd be feeding cookies. Yes, good dog. Awesome. What a good dog. And then when she was done, she'd say, all done or free or okay or whatever you want to say. But it has to be consistent. And that's how you get duration in behavior. Okay. Mary has a question. She's saying that her dog is pulling when they go on a walk, which is huge, right? Every dog does that. I think I hear that every day in school, at least 10 times a day. All my classes, it's like, my dog is pulling. I will help you, I promise. She uses a harness, but sometimes the dog lays down and just won't move. Now, Marcia also asked a question about a harness, and she's having the same trouble with the pulling. And he lays down and rolls over. We call that the alligator roll. Cute name for an annoying behavior. And she says he's a little dog, so she picks him up and she stands him back up. But then he flips over and does it again. Aw. Okay. I'm sorry you're having this challenge, but I'm going to help you fix it. So first of all, I think that the dogs pull because the humans are so boring. And you didn't know you had to be awesomely fun. But I think if I asked a dog, if he had the power of speech, and I said, tell me what happens when you go on a walk, he'd say, well, my human puts a leash on me, opens the door, and then I meet him back at the house. I think he would totally not say, he's attached, he's fun, we work together. There's none of that. And I believe that's because this is just how you were raised. You were raised to pop a dog on a leash and go on your merry way. And that's not how it should be. You should be so important to that walk. Now, think about this. When you're on a walk, the world is a big oyster. It's like going to Disney World for a dog. There's so many cool things. There's rabbits, and there's bikes, and there's people, and there's air molecules, and the smells in the grass. It's crazy. So if you think that you're going to go out with your dog and you've remembered the treats that you use in the house when you're training, you need to think again. Because just like when you leave the the currency rate drops. So does the currency rate of your reward. So if your dog loves, I don't know, Charlie Bears. Do you have Charlie Bears in the UK? We have them here in Canada. They're awesome. You can get them grain-free now, which is super awesome. Most dogs find Charlie Bears pretty rewarding, unless you have a lab or a retriever like I do, and they would eat mulch. But in any event, they're okay. They're fun. But when you go outside, they say, Charlie Bears, yeah, they're whatever. But I have sticks and squirrels and bikes to see now. So then you up the reward. So the currency rate has to go up. So in that case, when I'm going out, I bring chicken or bacon or whatever, leftovers from last night, and I bring a toy. That's really important. So sometimes I do in-homes, and I look at the people's house, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks like the toy aisle in a big box pet store. You have like 52 toys. And then they say, well, the dog doesn't like to play with their toys. Okay, first of all, the dog has way too many toys, and I would give the dog primarily bones and things to chew on that way, but I would keep all the soft, fun, tuggy toys for me. And they would come out during training, specifically during my training walks. I also think people don't think of the walks as training. And to me, that's throwing away the time that you're spending with your dog. I would totally, and I do, train my dogs on the walk. 80% of that walk is training, 20% of that walk is go sniff, pee, be a dog, whatever. But my dogs love the training because it's their opportunity to earn reinforcement, rewards, fun. It's just amazing. And if your dog doesn't think you're so fun, you need to get to be more fun. And I'll help you do that too. Also, before you go for a walk, if your dog is really detached from you and says, meet you back at the house, I would put that dog in a crate or confine it for half an hour to an hour before the walk. So then when you go to him, he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so bored. I missed you. And you're like, yeah, I missed you too. Let's go on a walk and we'll train together. Then he'll be excited for it. But if you've been hanging out on the couch, God forbid, all afternoon, and you're like, let's go for a walk, he's seen you. He doesn't really want to be with you. He wants to be with everything else. So be more interesting and bring better stuff on your walk. Now, back to the specifics. So Mary, I would create in his mind awesome value for you and awesome value specifically for heel position. Now, I don't believe a dog should walk in heel position the whole entire time because how can they pee and sniff and be a dog? But heel position for me is defined as the seam of my pants on my left side. I teach it on the right side too, and you can pick. I'm not picky about which one you decide to start first, but it should ultimately be both sides. But what I do with my dogs, and I teach this in the house when it's boring and there's nothing going on, I say their name, I run, and I stop this far away from a wall or a barrier. Now, if you have a big dog, it's going to be much farther away, right? But if you're a little teeny tiny dog, it should be just a shoot. I say their name, and as they're running to me, I take my hand back, I show them the cookie or whatever it is, high value stuff, and I lure them into position next to me. And I feed. The dog starts to say, hey, every time I'm on her left side, awesome stuff happens. It's like the vending machine. When you go to a vending machine and you put money in and you hit the button, where do you stand? Right, in the front. Never on the side, even internationally, because you know the stuff comes out in the front. Now, when you feed your dog around the house, do this test. Say his name and have a treat and give it to him for free. And tell me where he winds up. I bet most of you will say he came to the front of your body, which is where you've always been feeding him. So where's the value for the dog? In the front. Where do we want the value to be? On the side. In addition, if you really want to blow this thing up and make it go faster, I would take the meal on the walk. So Mary and Marcia as well, I would get your dog super, super hungry. So maybe one day I'd give them a half ration of dinner. So the next morning, you're going to have a very interested in food dog. And if you don't, you can add some bacon or whatever you're going to use for it. And then every time you give them food, it's going to be down your leg, down the elevator chute, and feed them that way. Pretty soon, your dog is going to want to stay there. Now, think of this analogy. If you're walking with me and we're somewhere really exciting, and every now and again I hand you a penny, you're going to be like, thank you. But if every now and again I gave you $500, where are you staying? You're staying next to me because you're hoping I'm going to pay you. And this is even better. If every 5 steps I don't give you $500, but randomly 10 steps, 100 steps, I give you $10,000, you are going to stay and play. And that's what I want for your dog. You can also switch out from these harnesses to a gentle leader or a halty. I do love those. They control the dog's head. They guide them. There is a little bit of work that goes with that, though. You have to teach them to wear it. But I think they're awesome. I like them a bit more than I like harnesses. And the other thing, this is specifically for Marcia, well, actually for both of you, because they do lay down. Dogs do things because they get rewarded. And so if they lay down and you face them or you pick them up or whatever you do, then they're like, oh, this is how I get her attention and I get what I want. And even though you're picking your dog up and he falls back over in the alligator position, Marcia, I still say that he's getting your attention. So what I would do is I would show him a little piece of chicken and say, yay, okay, get it, and throw it ahead of you. And then when he gets it, you can then reinforce back at your side. But it's a game, and trust me that it's going to be easier for you to teach all of this stuff when you're home and not in the big city or the big outdoors, because your dog is going to be more distracted. So I'd teach all of these lessons there, and then I would take them on the road, which means you've got to tolerate a bit of the pulling for now, but know that you're training it and it's going to get way better. And also check out those gentle leader and halties. And if you need more information about that, let me know. I may or may not have a lesson sheet I could throw your way. Okay. Hey, Courtney. So Courtney has Jax and Penny, and they are Border Collie Labs, which is why I love them, because Border Collies are my favorite dog. And the dogs love each other, but they play so rough. She's been to my multiple dog household workshop, but when she lets them go out in the yard, the only solution is to let them do potties separately. Otherwise, they go after each other in an aggressive manner. And she says she runs them till they're too tired to tackle each other, and then they're fine, but she wants to enjoy them together. Is it puppy play, or will they outgrow it? They're brother and sister, and she wants to make all four of their lives better. Okay, so when I go out and I want the dogs to play, and again, this is a different situation, right? Because we're starting this relatability. It's not like she's had them for years and years and years. They're recently rescued, I believe, Courtney. So I would change the whole process. I would throw obedience, of course I would, into this problem. So what I would do is I would have them on leash. So you have to have two people to do this. And I'd let them go see each other. And when they were sniffing, I'd say their name and run away. So you're both running opposite directions. One of you has a dog. And when they get to you, you're going to give them high value treats or play tug or something awesome. I want you to do that enough so that when they are back together, you see them check where you are. Like, you're going to call me? You're going to give me something fun? That's what I want to do. So you have two dogs who are magnetized towards each other. And Sarah, Sarah, she's on the team. She has Never and Jack. And Never and Jack are litter mates. And I am always reminding Sarah that I want those dogs to be more into her than each other. And I want that for everybody, whether you're a competition person or you're a pet person. I want to make sure those dogs would go to you before they would go to each other. And the test for this is, and I have a multiple dog household, so I know about this. If I walk into a room and my dogs are hanging out and they just look at me and kind of go, hey, and keep playing with each other, I know things are very, very bad, because my dogs should and do, when they see me, run to me and go, hey, Mom, what can we do? What exciting thing is going to happen next? So if your dogs don't see the fun in you and they just see the fun in each other, you're going to get this kind of stuff. So that's limiting their interaction with each other. And when they are with each other, two dogs, two people, higher value rewards. Teach them to see the value in you. Because I feel so bad when that happens, when people have dogs who sort of dismiss them, like, oh, it's you again. I mean, like, why did you get a dog? And sometimes people with multiple dog households are committed to the idea of these dogs will keep each other company. And so they don't feel like their work is as much when two dogs play together. But I'm telling you, you got to get the relationship with the dog first before you release them to each other. So what happens eventually is, yeah, my dogs can play in the yard by themselves and have a great old time. But still, when I walk out there, and some of my dogs are older, like 14 and 15, I walk out there, they still want me. And I haven't done specific games to teach this in years, but they retain it. So that is the goal. And plus you have Border Collies, so, I have Border Collies too. They're super energetics. You've got to make sure that they see the value in you and you give them the exercise and the mental stimulation that they need. And next time I see you at class, we'll work on a few of those things. Okay, next, Carly. She has an 18-week-old cockapoo. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. And he's been good with his crate and starts to go in it by himself. However, he's starting to use it as a place to go to the bathroom and doesn't ask to be let outside. He gets 2 to 3 walks a day when we're home and goes outside about every hour. Okay, awesome. So step 1, if you're home with him, you close the crate and he doesn't have access to it. You want to make sure that he can't rehearse this behavior of going in it and going to the bathroom. So it sounds to me like he's walking in it and using it, but it doesn't sound like when you close him in the bathroom, in the crate, that he uses it as a bathroom. So if that's not the case, it's easy. Close the crate door. And if you want him to nap when you're home, put him in the crate, shut the door. I am so totally cool with that. Just don't give him the opportunity to do that. In addition, when you clean the crate after an accident, make sure you get everything. We use Fission at the school because I think it's the only thing that really gets out all of the stains and all of the smells. You can get it online. You can get it at the school. Fizzion. It's awesome. But a lot of times people don't clean their crates out perfectly. I mean, pull out the pan, wipe down the bars all around the edges, get every single molecule, and then you can put the dog back in the crate. Also, sometimes people put blankets in the crate, and sometimes puppies like to go in there and pee or poop on the blanket. So if you have a dog who's doing that, you want to remove the blanket. I know, you're like, oh, is he going to lay on the pan, just the pan? Yeah, he is for a while. But it doesn't sound like he's doing that at night, which is awesome. So I would just close the door. Super easy. Hey, Kathy. All right, Kathy, she says, how do I get my dog to play? I'm going to put my glasses on because this is so tiny. How can I get my dog to play? He chases the ball, but he brings it back. He lays on top of it and nips at us if he tries to get it back. Okay. So first of all, 1 dog, 2 balls. Second of all, the balls have to be on handles. So when I have a dog who wants to play like that, but they're kind of like, oh, it's my ball, I like to put it on a handle or a string. And they make those. I wish I had one here at the school. But you can easily take it from him as you're showing him the other one. Now, what does slightly concern me is he nips at you if you try to get it back. Don't love that. So let's do this. Let's put him on a long line. So if he starts to get naughty, you could step on the leash and end the game. Next, I would have 2 balls. And as he's coming towards you with the one that he's gotten, show him the second one, throw it, and he should drop what he has and go get the other one. And then you pick it up and you repeat the process. I'd also work on things that don't promote resource guarding. So when he has a toy around the house or a ball or whatever he has, walk by him, say his name, show him a piece of high value stuff, really high value stuff, throw it away from him. He's going to turn and go get it. At that point, pick up the toy he had, hide it behind your back. When he turns around, say, oh, hey, here you go. And he's not going to have such a bad feeling about you taking his stuff. Right? Because a lot of times dogs, they guard stuff because we take it away. And there's a lot of things we need to take away from them. But if we've done it in a way that makes the dog possessive or edgy, then we get something called resource guarding. And that's when the dog says, this possession is so valuable to me, I'm going to nip at you or bite you. If you feel like that toy, whatever it is, the ball, turns him on too much and you think it's not going to be achievable to get it done quickly, then I'd switch to a different toy, and something he doesn't have that much attachment to. Maybe it's a squeaker toy, maybe it's something else. Every dog is different, right? Like my dogs would think the tennis ball was awesome, but I have students' dogs who look at it like, really, you want me to pick this up? They'd much prefer a squeaker toy. So get the lowest value toy your dog would take, and you can throw that back and forth. The other game I'd like you to play is a game exactly like this, but with food. So I show him a cookie, cookies in both hands, show him a cookie or whatever you're going to use, something high value, and say, okay, get it, and throw it maybe 4 feet away. When he gets it, as he's lifting his head, show him this one, stretch your arm all the way out. Can you see? Yeah. And then throw it across your body and say, get it, and then do it again. Get it, and then get it. And so what the dog is learning is to get something and then run back and get something else. Now, I know it's not with a ball, but this game teaches your dog that you continue to have awesome things. You don't just have one good thing, and they keep going by you and ultimately to you to get it. So that is one of my favorite games. And if I was outside right now or had thought to bring a dog, I would have demoed maybe next week. If you remind me, I will show you with a dog. I promise. Okay, Roseanne. Her dog pulls unleashed, which we talked about, and loves the roll of toilet paper. Oh my goodness. Okay. So here's what I say about dogs who eat toilet paper, especially to puppy people, especially to beginner people. I say, close the bathroom door. How easy was that? Because you have a list of crap you have to teach your dog. 5, 6, 7, 10 things, right? Just make your life easy. Close the door. And if your family members are the one who leaves it open, then they're the ones who have to clean it up, right? So that's what you're going to do. Easy peasy. Everybody else was like, that was easy. I wish my solution was that easy. Carrie's dog goes crazy at the doorbell. Carrie, you are in the majority. Do not feel bad. She can't have people over the house because he acts like he's going to kill someone who is not his family. Her plan is to start taking him in the car and sitting away from people and praising, giving treats when he sees people and remaining calm. And he still occasionally chews things on things he should not, which we talked about. And that's probably supervision. And he likes cardboard. Oh, isn't that nice? I'll make you feel better. I have a student whose dog preferred money, like literally currency. Yeah, jumped in a purse, pulled out cash, and there was a smell about it. I don't know, it was weird. Anyway, we fixed it, but she lost some serious money with that before she called me. Okay, so let's start with the doorbell. Her plan is taking him in the car and sitting away from people and praising, right? I think this is a location-based issue. I think it's a home territory issue, but I don't want you to stop the car thing. That's awesome. But I want you to start taking it more at home as well. So first things first, you're going to record your doorbell. You're going to record it on your phone because you probably don't have somebody who can help you all day long ringing the bell and you deconditioning your dog or reconditioning your dog to the sound of the bell. So I'd record the doorbell and I'd play the sound, and when he heard the sound, I would do nothing but feed him a little piece of bacon, liverwurst, Spam, whatever you want to do. Now, you have to stand on the leash, right? Dog has to be on the leash for this because if you make the sound of the doorbell and he books it to the door, you can't do anything. So he's on the leash, you're standing on it, you get your awesome food, make the sound, feed the dog. If you do this enough times, the dog will hear the sound of the doorbell and associate it with food and you and start looking for you rather than losing his cool. While you're doing this process, you have to unplug your doorbell. I don't know how to do that. I'm not an electrician. My dad is a builder, and he would be horrified that I can't tell you how to do this. But anyway, you can just tape it over like I would do. I'd tape it over with an index card and say out of order. He's not watching this because he's not on Facebook, but if he was, he would croak. Anyway, and I'm doing that because you're doing all this work, you're reconditioning this, and then one day you're not ready with the food, and the doorbell rings, and then the dog goes kapow, and you can't control it. It's not forever, it's just for a little while. Next, I want you to make sure that when you have guests coming over, that you have control of the dog before they show up. Now, some people have this open door policy with their house where people come in and out all day. Kind of freaks me out. But if you have that, start locking your doors. Start telling people, text me when you're down the road. That way you can collect your dog, put him on leash, or crate him, whatever you need to do to have a successful entry into the house. Now, it depends on the dog. Like some dogs, maybe at this stage, it would be too much for him to be on a leash and greet people who come in the house. You'd probably get the same crazy crank behavior next to you. So possibly with him at this stage, you want to crate him, bring people into the house, let him hear their voices, then go get him, clip him on a leash, have some high value liverwurst, whatever you're using, and bring him into the room, stand on the leash, feed him for being calm, and then back upstairs. You have to do this slowly. And I can't get that across to you guys enough. I know you want it to be fine like right now, but this stuff takes time. I liken it to if people dive, you dive in the ocean, and if you get down really, really deep, when you come back up, you cannot go all the way to the surface right away because you get the bends. Because your body has to adjust. I don't know the scientific term, but it's something about oxygen, and then you'd get cramps and it would be bad. Don't do that. So I think of that the same way. When people come into your house, there's this huge energy change, and a lot of dogs react to that. So you've got to let them settle in and hear the people and sort of be like, oh, people are in my house. And when they're calm, you let them out. Now, here's the rub. Some people hear that and they say, okay, people are over, and in 10 minutes, I'm going to get my dog. Problem is, their dog is still losing his cool in his crate or wherever they've put him. So two things are the problem. Number one, he's still over threshold and overstimulated. So when you bring him down, it's just going to be a hot mess. But number two, and most importantly, you're teaching him that when he loses his cool, you're going to give him what he wants, which is exiting out of the crate. So we have two different problems here. So that's what I want you to do. Recondition him to the sound of the doorbell. Work on maybe one person coming over but not ringing the doorbell. Have him get used to their voice. Bring him down. Feed him. Bring him back up. And notice I didn't say have him greet the person. So some dogs are not really social. Like, I don't know what you like in your life socially. Some people like going out and they like partying. A lot of people on my team, they like to go out. They like to be social. Some people like to come home and hang out with their family and have tea and write about dog training and not go out and be social. So maybe your dog is his success point would be he can be in a room on place next to you, cool, calm, and collected, but he's not working the room and getting everybody's Facebook address, right? So you have to understand the dog that you have. It might not be the dog you wanted to have or the dog that you used to have, but it is the dog that you have now, and you have to accept them for what they have and what they bring to the table. So that is my very long-winded answer. But I did like your plan about the car. Let's just pull it into the house in addition to doing that. Okay. Let me see. Oh, Katie has a question about place. It becomes optional when company comes or the bell rings. Okay. And he also marks. And he doesn't like pedicures. A couple things. So the marking. We got to make sure he doesn't have a UTI. I'm sure he doesn't, but just make sure. There's something called a belly band. It's a piece of fabric. It goes over their tummy. And if they lift their leg to pee, it actually goes into the little band. And the dogs really, their objective for marking is because they want to say, that's mine. And if they mark and it doesn't come out, they go, ooh, this thing is broken. And then the marking diminishes. Marking is also a supervision issue. So if you can't watch him, make sure that he doesn't have the opportunity to mark. And let me go back to the place. The place, it's going to be similar to what I just talked about for Carrie. It's going to be similar to you have to practice your place command by having the recording of your doorbell. Ding dong, and say place and feed him. I have a super awesome video that I have to have Brittany. Sarah, can you remind Brittany to do that for me? She'll post it. It's a Labradoodle that we taught at a very young age to hear the doorbell and run to place without anybody telling him to do that, which is not as hard as you think. But again, place has to be queued up by the bell. He can't then go crazy when company comes over. And then you have to strategically get him to do this with one person, with two people. I feel like sometimes people teach their dog a command, and they teach it at a very basic level. Good for you. But then they try to jump to, okay, now I want him to do this. It's like your kid comes home from school and says, Mom, I read through Cat in the Hat. Awesome. Yeah, and then you hand them Tolstoy. Like, it's too much. So there are layers to training, and that's what I think the secret to training is. Understanding what's next. It's kind of like when you go to the gym, and your trainer, they give you the weights, and they want 10 reps, but at some point they want 20 reps. At some point they want more weights, and you really never win. But dog training is kind of like that, except you will win. Every time your dog is doing something awesome, and you're like, wow, that's really good, you have to think, okay, how can I grow it to the next step? And the next step. How can I make this relevant in my life rather than just an awesome party trick that I could record right now and post on YouTube? So think about that. That's really, really important. The pedicure thing. Yeah, tell me strongly object. Tell me what that means. Does he bite you or does he freak out? We do a lot of body handling with our dogs from a young age, and we hold their foot and we give them cookies and we do things like that. But sometimes dogs are very phobic, and a lot of times that happens because they've been somewhere to get their nails done, and they've been tackled or held down. And sometimes they do that at the vets. And what I tell you about the vet is the vet's job is to save your dog's life. Your job is to train your dog so that the vet can save his life. And sometimes that hasn't happened. So if he's not muzzle trained, if he freaks out about being handled, then the problem is the vet has to take him in the back and have tech help to hold the dog down. So we can come back to that, but I want to know more about that pedicure. Shaza, is that right? That's a pretty name. Shaza? She's talking about jumping up on people when they come over. Trying to jump up on people when they're out for a walk and chasing cats. And the cats are terrified. All right. Couple things. First, jumping up on people when they come over. You've got to get your stuff together. You got to be standing on a leash if you're in management stage, which is you don't have any training really to help you out. You have to crate the dog. You have to gate the dog and wait till their level calms down, and then have them greet the people if they're greeters. And I want you to think differently about that. Does your dog really have to greet everybody who comes into the house? When you have people over for dinner, does the dog really have to be with you? Does the dog even want to do that? When you have training, it becomes easier because you can put the dog on a down and wait or go to place, things like that. So you're either in management or you're in training stage. So that's what you have to figure out, which of those you're in. And I want you to get to the training stage because it's so much fun to have a trained dog. And it's impressive. I mean, people come over and, my dogs are hanging around and I say, down, and all my dogs hit the deck and they're like, whoa. I kind of like that. Even now, I do really like that. Sometimes I tell them down in the house and they do it and I'm like, dang, nobody was around to see that. That was really good. It never gets old. Okay, she's also talking about chasing cats. Oh my goodness. Okay, the value of her and the cats is obviously high. And cats run. Cats are prey. They're super awesome to dogs. So what I would do is I'd have her on a leash. I would even get canned food, but really good canned food, or something she never gets, something she would love, on a spoon. I have a little bowl next to me. Cat would be in the room. And when she looked at me, and she will, because she's on a nice short leash, I'd say yes and give her a spoonful or a piece of whatever I had. You can even say kitty cookie, which is what we do for cars. We say car cookie or cookie car, and the dog knows when they see a car, and this is for dogs who chase cars, they see a car, if they look at me, I'm going to pay them back. And eventually they don't look at cars anymore, they just look at me. That's what I want her to do. When she sees the cat, she's going to be like, the cat's here, and you're going to go, yay, kitty cookie. And then she's going to say, wait a minute, I thought chasing the cat was awesome, but this one is giving me better cookies for interacting correctly with the cat. It's not going to diminish your dog's want for the cat, but it is going to take all that excitement and adrenaline off of chasing and onto you. Now, this has to be supervised, and again, it's kind of like the doorbell. If you're not supervising this and you go upstairs to take a bath and the dog is loose and the cat is loose, you're going to lose all your training. So when you are not available to keep track of things, they have to be separated. Absolutely, all the time. Let me see who's here, because I see some questions. All right, I have to get my glasses. What do you call them? Readers? Okay. We've got that. You're welcome, Kathy. Carrie. Okay, we started this. It's mostly men. He's a Lab BC Aussie Shepherd mix. Okay, you've got all the herding breed in one dog. Thank God for the lab component. Okay, Karen. Is hand feeding a new puppy proactive against resource guarding? I also include my 8-year-old will do this to help to prevent the pup from thinking my daughter is a litter mate. Awesome. Yes, so Karen, the feeding from the bowl is great. However, we're going to add a little twist to that. I don't want your dog eating from a bowl, your puppy. I want them eating because they earn it. So I take the cup of food that they were going to get from a bowl, not going to give it to them for free, and I'm going to incorporate this into training. Now, I'm sure you're saying, oh my God, this is going to take forever. Really not. Like if you did the game I talked about, throwing the cookie and saying their name and then saying their name and throwing it and get it back and forth, you could kill a cup of food in like 10 minutes. Same with your daughter. Here's what I wouldn't do, and a lot of people still do this. It's one of those myths out there that dog trainers despise. I would not, when the dog is eating, take the food away from him and give it back. Have you heard people say to do that? You must. Or put your hand in it and take it out. People tell me that all the time. Oh, I took it away and he didn't care. It means he's not going to bite me, right? No. So picture this. You're eating dinner and somebody walks in the room and they take your plate and they give it back. And a few minutes later, they take your plate and they give it back. How many times are you going to let them do that before you stab them with your fork? Or maybe fuss at them or whatever you're going to do, right? So that actually increases the dog's nervousness or guardiness about the food because he's like, dude, I'm having my dinner. So I take the bowl out of the picture completely. I'd rather feed in a stuffed Kong or marrow bone or whatever and put them in the crate if I don't have time to hand feed them, but I hand feed them through training. So in the morning, you're taking a walk, right? Why not stick that food in your pocket and then go for a walk and feed? If you do a raw diet, I feel you. I feed raw too. There's ways to do that. I do it with a spoon. But you've got to get the idea of I'm teaching you from day one that I control all the resources, the food, the toys, the freedom, the fun, all of it. And if you know I control it, then you're going to do things I want and you're going to think that I am as valuable as the food or whatever it is because I'm the gatekeeper. And it doesn't create like a warden prisoner mentality. Some people are like, oh, it's going to think like he has to work for you. No, it's not like that. Dogs are wired to work for men, meaning men, like men and women. And so they like to have a job. They are contra freeloaders, meaning they're against freeloading. And there's studies on that. They want to have a job. So when you take what they want most in the world and you put it on the ground, you're like, here, have it for free. And a couple of things happen. One, they don't get that sense of, ooh, I earned something. And two, they're like, yeah, I get everything I want for free. So then an hour later, you pull out your dog cookies. You're like, you want to train? He's like, no, thank you. I'm full. I never want that to happen. So I want you to switch it up. And your daughter can help. My kids were training with me when they were in the high chair. I have a picture of my son. I should try to find it. He was like 2, sitting in the high chair with Cheerios. And my golden, Opal, was on the floor sitting. And he would throw a Cheerio to her when I told him to when she would sit. So from day one, he was of course, high because he was in a high chair, so he looked like an adult. And also, he was feeding her food for doing correct behavior. So it was super awesome. And I think that's why all my kids had a great training relationship with dogs. They don't even know why they know body language. It's so funny because my daughter is a tech at a vet, and she's going to go to vet school. And they are so surprised how she knows the dog is going to bite them. She's like, yeah, this dog's going to try to bite you. And they're like, no, he's not. And like seconds later, he does it. They're like, how did you know? She's like, I don't really know how I know. I was just raised this way because I had conversations with her from day one. When I remember her being like 5 years old in the car, and we'd stop at a light and there'd be two dogs, and I'd say, oh, what are those dogs saying? And she'd say, oh, their tails are wagging, they're happy. And I'm like, not really. You see their tails are wagging, but it's staccato and like short little wags. That means they're tense, or that means they're about to get aggressive because that dog is too close. So we just had the conversations, and they got more advanced as she got older, and my son too. And so life as a dog trainer's kid, I guess. But it's good. It's good for them because I don't worry about them getting bitten. And there's a whole protocol that maybe I'll share with you if you're interested one day about what I told them when I went to friends' houses, whose dogs they were allowed to pet, and all the different things like that. So anyway, all right, Carrie, we love him as he is. Oh, yes. Don't we all love our dogs, warts and all? I think that you get the dog that you're supposed to get. It's really interesting. I think every dog you get teaches you something. And you're like, nope, this isn't the dog I'm supposed to get because I'm supposed to get the easy dog because I had the challenging dog last time. But they teach you so much. And they also teach people in your lives about things. It's a journey. Every dog you have is a journey. And you train one and then it's like kids. You forget all the trouble you had with the raising. Like they're 3 and 4, you get this amnesia. You're like, I need another puppy. There's that going on in my school right now. So many people are getting new puppies. And I bet it's because their dog is awesomely trained. The one that they brought to school, the one that they worked with. And so they're like, this is such a great experience. I'm going to get another puppy, which is so much fun because they're better trainers second time around and it goes quicker and quicker. And pretty soon I'm going to be hiring them to be trainers at my school. All right, guys. So this was so much fun. Thank you for giving me something awesome to do on my Sunday. I will do this again next week. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. I think Sarah will start a new comment thread. So for next Sunday or whenever we're going to do this, we might do this on Friday as well. If you give me tons of questions, I'm not waiting till Sunday to answer them. I'm going to jump on and I'm going to answer them sooner. And you know, my amazing trainers are always in the group as well. There's Nancy and Nikki and Lauren and Chelsea and Sarah and just all of us. So we are here to help you because our goal is for you to have an awesome dog, the dog that you wanted when you decided to get a dog. So anyway, that's it. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day, and we're here for you. If you need us, just let us know. Bye, guys.